following program is a presentation of KTYM's Public Affairs Department. I'm Bobby Howe. You know who she is. She runs all over the world nowadays trying to find the best. You know, they told me years ago, go out and find good news and communicate. And listening to that, I realized that people all over the world needed to communicate with each other. And I found a book that I need to communicate to the world. Beyond UFOs. You know, that's been a question in the back of our mind, and we played games with it. But I found this, I want to call him a guru, that sees the bigger picture. And I don't know if you guys came along with me, but we all were into UFOs with E.T. and with Captain Kirk and all the good things. But now I have the guy that can tell us the story about it. And so, without further ado, on behalf of myself and KTYM, Jeffrey, welcome to KTYM.
Thank you very much, Bobby. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, he's being so nice. Why didn't you say it's about time? It is about time. I have been playing with this book for over a month or two, and I'm finally gotten him in studio to talk about not just this book, but this show we're going to talk about the book Beyond UFOs, A Search for Extraterrestrial Life. That's so amazing to me because I believe. But before we talk about the book, we got to meet the handsome young man that's going to tell us about it. So who's Jeffrey?
I'm Jeffrey Bennett, and I live in Boulder, Colorado with my family, my wife Lisa, and I have two children, Grant and Brooke, who happen to be exactly the age of Obama's children, who we were talking about before the show.
I got your wife's name is Lisa, right?
Yes.
And Lisa, you did a good job. So far, you got him trained pretty good.
She's trained me completely, yes.
But I'm so much older than you, so I was into UFOs before you were born. But this UFO book, UFOs, I don't know, where'd you get it? What brought it to you, and what made you think you could put it on paper?
Well, actually, the title of the book is Beyond UFOs, so
right.
it's a bit of a, I'm not sure the word for it, but what I'm trying to do in the book is to take you beyond just thinking about the UFOs that people talk about in the sky, and talking about the larger question of, is there life out there in the universe? How can we search for it, and what will it mean to us as a species if we find it or if we don't find it?
You know what, I sort of heard that, and I said, nah, that's not where it's going. But it is. We do have to go up. See, you don't remember when there was no television. You know, you don't remember when there was no refrigerator or there were no supermarkets. So I go back there and I say, I can relate to the fact that we never thought of supermarkets and fast food joints. But now we got to think of, now that we're here and we can just draw out of the sky to our cell phones, which of course weren't available there.
Well, we started out, go back a couple thousand years, people thought that this was it, that the small piece of this one planet that they lived in was the entire universe.
Right.
And over the last couple thousand years, we've been finding out more and more that there's a lot more to it than just us. First, just our little locality. Then we learned that it's not just our planet. Now we've learned that it's not just our solar system and not just our galaxy, but there's a huge universe out there. And I think as we learn more, we become more curious about what else we might find.
Okay. What did you totally mean in the subtitle?
Well, the search for extraterrestrial life and its astonishing implications for our future. So a lot of the book is focused on the scientific search for extraterrestrial life. I am a scientist, so I'm coming at it from a scientific point of view. But I think that what makes this subject so interesting to so many people, why there's been so many science fiction movies about it, and Star Trek and Star Wars and all that, is because I think we kind of just realize right off the bat that the idea of there being others in the universe besides us has implications to us. It's not just an abstract scientific idea. If there's others out there, they may be far more advanced than us. It might be like we're the children joining a grown-up civilization. If there's not others out there, then we would have to wonder why. What is it about this planet that makes it so special to have this life, and how does that tell us about what we need to do to keep this planet in a state where it will be good for life?
You know, the funny part about it, your book is right on, and I go back to Superman, which is one of my favorite movies. And I was grown up when I saw Superman the first time, but I right away accepted the fact that they were from outer space, other planet, other life, and very, very intelligent life somewhere else. And it's a bestseller. It seems like those kinds of movies last for 20, 30 years.
That's right. It's a question. Actually, one of the things I talk about in Beyond UFOs is I go back historically, and you find that the ancient Greeks were talking about this question.
Absolutely.
A couple of thousand years ago. This is not a new idea that there could be life elsewhere in the universe. But now, for the first time in history, we're actually able to search for it in a real scientific way.
Yeah, I love you scientists. You didn't share with me what it was about the science that brought you to the book, though. You, in your scientific studies, you wrote the book in your head, or what?
Well, actually, it's perhaps a bit of a circular process. I got into science because of my interest in these areas. In particular, I was very much inspired by, I grew up in the 60s, first of all, the Apollo moon landings, and secondly, the movie 2001, A Space Odyssey, which had the aliens that were far, far more advanced than we are. So those things are what inspired me to go into science. And then in my science teaching, I taught at the University of Colorado at Boulder. And in my science teaching, I started developing my own courses and writing notes for my courses that eventually led to textbooks. So one of my textbooks is on this subject, the scientific search for extraterrestrial life. And after I wrote that, I thought, well, now I need to do something for people who might only have a couple hours to read a book instead of a whole semester to study, that they could get through quicker, but that would still show you some of the amazing things going on in this area.
You know, I think when you're young, you open your heart and arms to many things. I remember when I told my mom we were going to the moon. She didn't believe it. But that's, you know, if you're talking about in the 40s, who could go to the moon? But I saw it in a movie. And I've often said, when you see this stuff in the movie, it's coming to pass. I interviewed one of Captain Kirk's guys, the Japanese guy, I forget what Sulu. And he said, when they flipped the thing and said, beam me up, Scotty. It's a cell phone. And pretty soon, you know, that's the way cell phones are going to do, beam me up, Scotty. I believe that there is life somewhere else.
I hope there is. And I think that if we find it, it's going to be quite an amazing thing. One of the things I like to talk about in terms of just thinking about the possibilities is, it's an incredible thought, but there's actually more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth put together.
Okay, I got to ask you the question, so how do you know that?
You can estimate the number of grains of sand pretty easily by looking at the size of a grain, calculating the...
You can do that. You have to tell us how we can do that.
You know, I actually have my freshman students do this calculation. You take the average width of a beach, the average depth of a beach, and estimate the total length of beaches on the world, multiply, and you have the volume of beach, and multiply by how many grains of sand fit in each small piece of volume, and you got the answer. And then you compare that to the number of stars in the universe, which we get in a similar way by counting off in different directions and multiplying to see what the total number would be.
And those are the ones that you can see. And I believe there are stars beyond that.
It's the ones in what we call our observable universe, the part that we can see in principle, yes. But right there, you've got this amazing thing. Could it really be that out of all the grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth put together, there's just this one grain that's different from every other? Or is our grain really like many others, and so there are, in fact, other planets like ours, other civilizations like ours, all over the place?
You know, we're going on, and everybody's wanting to say, I want to meet this guy, I want to see more about this. How can you be reached?
If you go to my website, www.jeffreybennett.com, JEFFREYBENNETT.com, you can read more about what I've been doing and contact me through that.
Okay, and I want you to say that again because people looking for pencils didn't get it.
It's my author name, www.jeffreybennett.com, all one word, JEFFREYBENNETT.
That's great. And I hope they got it, but now I have it, so I will keep it because the phone's going to go off the hook. The big Star Wars, the first part of Star Wars, we accepted the fact that people were going from planet to planet. It wasn't just a movie. It's something I think we need in here. So I don't think we can separate all those different things. It's like, I don't know, you look at the ant's life or you look at a dog or cat's life. They're different from ours, but they're part of our universe.
That's
our
right.
own universe. But there must be more out there that we can't. I don't think I like those animals in Star Wars. But I like the fact that they could go to hyperspace.
Right.
And go someplace totally different. And that it was exciting.
It's very exciting, and it brings up one of the most interesting questions in this subject, which is, it seems like there should be these other civilizations all over the place, and yet we don't have any definitive evidence yet that they're there. So why not? What are we missing? And is it that they're not getting here? Is it that they don't exist? Or is it that they're already there and they've got a prime directive like Star Trek and they're not interfering with us?
Or they're maybe like Superman, which again is a super being living on our planet,
That's
walking
right.
among us. We don't know these things, so this is exciting. You know, we have to get away from the norm of every day. So my suggestion, of course, is that we do something about the book. We let people know it's out there, where they can get it and everything. And
the book Beyond UFOs is available in principle at bookstores just about anywhere. You can also order it online from Amazon and Barnes & Noble and other places like that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. On Public Affairs, we never quote price. I'm quoting a price. It's well over worth $1 million in education. That's the big thing. But it's over a couple mil when we think of the different joys and the thoughts that can go through your head. It takes you out of this world. And that's the important thing, that you know that there must be something out there. Well, if you believe like me, I prefer to believe on the it's out there thing rather than, you know, what it doesn't mean to us. But we're almost out of time, and before we do that, what I want to please beg you, we have to have you on again because not only do you have a book called UFOs, but you've got a series of children books. And again, that's with the UFOs.
with the search for life, yes, in our solar system. I'm trying to teach kids about science and get them inspired to really dream and dream bigger things.
You know, the sad thing about it is I don't know why I consider an astronaut out there with the UFOs because they're in outer space. But the books are all placed in outer space.
That's right.
They're on the land for a minute, but they're mostly outer space doing things.
That's right.
And they're very scientific, so we want to have a show about that. But before we get out of here today, I want to hear that address again.
It's www.jeffreybennett, JEFFREYBENNETT.com.
Okay, now don't forget, the name of the book again is
Beyond UFOs, the search for extraterrestrial life and its astonishing implications for our future.
And it's astonishing. Make it whatever part of you, but this is something to read for joy.
Thank you.
I thank you so much for being here, and I thank you for putting up with the old lady that believes in UFOs. I'm Bobby Howe. The preceding program was a presentation of KTYM's Public Affairs Department.